So if you're watching this video, chances are that you've been ripped off just like myself. And you're probably wondering what the best way to go about it is and wondering if you should bother with the justice system to get back your money. This could be because you've paid for something and the products didn't meet your expectations, the person's taken your money and just done a runner. If it's less than $20,000, chances are you'll be going through the small claims division eventually through our local court system. This video is just from my experience and the hurdles and the challenges that I've faced. Hopefully it helps. I know when I was going through this, there was very little information out there that I could find. Legal aid wasn't very useful. They're good at providing basic information, but very hard to find any kind of guidance in terms of next steps. So hopefully this helps, and let me know what you think. So this is a bit about my situation, and maybe it will resonate with you, and you can see if my experience is relevant to you. Essentially, we bought some furniture off this guy off Facebook. I know what you're thinking, Facebook, what was I thinking, but everything checked out. He had an ABN, he had a website that looked legit, refund policy, like everything looked fine. He sent us an invoice for $810, paid it via bank transfer. Weeks went by and hadn't heard from him, and ultimately we found out that he had blocked us. We couldn't get a hold of him. We were kind of freaking out, but I guess our first point of call was to go to Fair Trading. Now, I know a lot of you are thinking, Fair Trading's got this sorted out. They seem like a reputable go-to agency that can just handle this kind of stuff, right? Well, no, they're not. We submitted the report to them. We thought it was quite a simple, open and shut case. All they can do on their end is give the business a call. That's all they can do. They can't enforce anything. All they can do is try to mediate something between the two parties. So in our case, they tried reaching out to the person. This guy was having fun wherever he was and screening calls. So obviously he wasn't going to pick up. So Fair Trading suggested we take it up with NCAT, and that's exactly what we did. But hang on a second, you're probably thinking, oh, we should try the banks first, which is exactly what we thought as well. Well, there's not much the banks can do either. So we tried calling up our bank to see if they can get reverse the bank transfer. Our bank, who I don't think I should mention, but they said they can only request bank transfers back, and that any future transactions should be placed on credit cards, because then you can just request a reversal. So our luck was running out at this point. Our bank sent a request to their bank asking for them to reverse the transaction. Obviously, this guy that scammed us refused to send it back to us. No surprise there. We then reached out to their bank directly, giving them the bank information of the person that scammed us, and we just raised an alert to them about potential fraud and this guy's scamming people. They just came back saying there's nothing they can do. So that's our banking system in a nutshell. I don't know why our banks take so much pride with their fraud and anti-money laundering teams. When something like this is raised with them, they just completely ignore it. But that's how it is. So our third stop was NCAT. So this stage in the process is where it starts to get stressful, and where you might want to rethink going through the process. So NCAT, you submit an application to them. It costs $54. They give you a hearing date for the tribunal where both parties are set to attend. So we filled out a whole bunch of information. We did a whole chronology of events. We included all the screenshots, everything that they could possibly ever ask, we included, typed it all up, printed everything out. They said you needed 3 copies, one for the party, one for the person, had everything prepared. We turned up on the day, and our experience was just dreadful, right? The tribunal member that we had just did not give a fuck about anyone's case at all. So there was someone before us, and he was asking this old lady some really stupid questions, and she was answering them as accurate as possible, and this guy just did not give a fuck. He ended up making her tear up in the courtroom, and it was just a bit demoralizing before we actually got up there. But when it was our turn, he had no interest in looking at what we had prepared, didn't give a shit. The defendants, or the scammer, didn't end up turning up, which was again no surprise. So luckily it was an easy decision for the tribunal member to say, yes, they owe you money. So that's what was ordered that day. Something interesting happened in this hearing. So with NCAT hearings, you can apply under Section 60 of the tribunal charter or something. You can actually apply for the filing fee of NCAT to be put onto their costs that they owe you. The scammer guy owed us. So I tried mentioning it in the tribunal court, but this tribunal member just did not give a shit. Like his words, word for word, was the NCAT fee that you pay is the privilege of me making a decision for you. Despite, in black and white, us having every right to claim that $54, whatever it was, on the cost, he just was one arrogant person and just couldn't see past it. Anyway, at the end of all this, the order was that they owed us money and that we should register that decision with the court. Local court. So this is where shit really started to turn south for us, and where I really wish we just hadn't gone. So essentially what happened next is we went to local court. We said, here's the NCAT order that says they owe us money. The local court said, cha-ching, that'll be $102, thanks. Fair enough, whatever. But there was no guidance. With local court, there's no guidance. Unless you have a solicitor representing you, you're on your own. Like you have no idea what to do. No average person knows what to do next. So we're wondering what's happening next. We messaged the local court. They said, try a garnishee order to try and take money from the scammer's account. Okay, we can order them to do that. Meanwhile, this scammer guy that was onto us, that money long left his bank account, which we found out through emails later. He was taking money out of there. So no surprise that failed as well. So because we didn't know their employer and could deduct their salary, our next option was to ask the court for an examination date, where essentially they come to the court with you, they give you all the financial information they have about their businesses, income, assets, and you decide the next steps in terms of collecting your debt. The court then says, that's fine, you can do that. We'll lock in a date that's $109, whatever. So in order to do the examination, you need to serve them. So because the guy was tatted up, looked like he was in a gang, we decided to actually hire a process server. So this is someone whose job it is to go out there, hand them a document in their hand and say, you're served. Like, that's it. This lady went to their address and a bunch of things happened. So basically the scammers had left that house ages ago. We have no idea where they are. They were also messaging this lady offering business transactions, quotes. So they were still active trying to scam people. This process server tried serving them and their response was, no, I do this through another business for a referral, thanks. Like, they're clearly trying to evade service. So we didn't get anywhere trying to do that. The court date was coming up. We don't know where they are. We were kind of backed into a corner. Meanwhile, this guy's just on the beach having a laugh. So given that we couldn't find them, we asked the court, what do we do? The court then says, you're going to have to keep adjourning your examination date until you can find them. Essentially just keep delaying this court case indefinitely until you can find their address. That was their advice, right? So at this point, the process server that went to their address, part of that service is that they give you an affidavit with screenshots and they show all the text messages that occurred, all the checks that they did, asking who lived there, the neighbor, like about the scammer, all that stuff, right? We had more than enough evidence that showed that they were evading service. I asked the court, can we do a substituted service? That's what it's called, which is basically where if you can't personally serve it, you can do it via phone, email, or other means. I've even heard of cases where people post it in the newspaper, right? That's the whole point of it. If people are evading, this is how you get them. The court says, that's fine. You'll have to submit a notice of motion along with an affidavit. It'll cost you $102, right? That's fine. And at this point in the process, I should mention every notice of motion, every affidavit, you have to get witness signed. So we have to keep driving to this justice of the peace and keep signing these documents. And 9 times out of 10, they'd come back with the judge nitpicking some stupid piece of detail in the thing and asking, just cancelling it and you have to reapply. Anyway, that's a whole nother tangent. So we just bit the bullet. We did the notice of motion, we did the affidavit, we paid the $102, sent it to the court. They ended up rejecting it. They weren't convinced that the scammer would get the email or the court documents if we had tried their email and family members' Facebooks. They weren't convinced. The court's advice was to keep looking for their address. What a helpful bunch of people. So here we go. It's on us to find these people. The next step is private investigators. Yes, private investigators. It's on us, the people that are scammed, to go out to a private investigator and find out where these scammers are. Police will not intervene because it's considered a civil case. It's on us. So anyway, went around getting some quotes. A lot of process servers also are private investigators. We found that the average quote, and I guess the best practice in this case, is called a skip trace, which is where you hand them information about their phone number, what they look like, last address, that kind of thing, and they scour the internet, and some places might like literally not stalk people but just follow them and find out things. But the average quote that we got was minimum $500 to find out where these people lived. This is, mind you, this is for an initial claim of $810. Okay, so at this point in time we were defeated. So I just admitted that to the court we couldn't find them and that I need to cancel or adjourn the examination order until I don't know when, because I don't know how the hell we're going to find these people. They replied back and said, you have to fill out the forms to adjourn the examination order. If you do eventually find them, you'll have to pay again and also have the examination order reissued. What a helpful bunch of people, honestly. Meanwhile, the scammer guy is out there running around in his Ferrari, whatever, okay? God knows how many people he scammed. So I guess one lesson that I do want to share as a lessons learned for other people is never bank transfer, for God's sake. Always do credit card or some other card, I don't care, just not bank transfer or cash on delivery. Second is make sure, I know it sucks, but do your due diligence. Try and find out whether their ASIC address is up to date, what kind of people are they, like, I don't know how you're going to find the information, but just try and do your research before you buy off people. This really sucks. And this is where we ended up. So this was a summary. Financial losses incurred, apart from the original amount, $810. The court filing fees where we stopped at was $367. If we proceeded to keep going and going and going, these probably would have doubled at least. The process server who goes out and serves the court documents, that would have at least doubled, because you would have had to have reissued the new order once you knew their new address. In addition to this, you would have had to get a private investigator, but we stopped before going to do any of this. So that would have been, again, minimum $500. Who knows if that had any success? That's not guaranteed in their price. But the biggest thing was in all this was the time and sanity lost. Like over 200 hours easily lost in preparing affidavits, court orders, only to have them sent back, us drive down, get them re-witnessed, sent back to the court. It was crazy. And not only this, but when we messaged family members related to the scammer, they actually came out and threatened us as well. So asking where we live, all that kind of thing. So in the back of our mind, we're always wondering when someone's driving by, is that them? Because they knew where our address was in the initial quote that they gave us, right? So there's things like that you need to think of. That's our court system, pretty fucked up. If any minister or anyone is watching this, in the very low chance that they are, please reinvent the small claims process. There is no way you should expect an average person to go through all of this cost, all of this stress for such a small amount, especially considering it's not their fault either. Like, the scammer is out there somewhere just having fun, not having to worry about any of this, avoiding service, and there's nothing we can do about it. The police don't help, no one helps. It's just on us. Like, no wonder why so many scammers are out there. Anyway, I hope you guys have got a better understanding of the process that goes into filing a claim against someone who owes you money, and hopefully it makes you rethink before you apply and start the process with local court. Hope you found it useful. Thanks.